Today's episode is sponsored in part by Shopify, Cozy, and Greenlight. Join millions of entrepreneurs using Shopify, the global commerce platform that helps you grow your business. Start your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/goaldigger. Transform your living space today with Cozy. Visit cozy.com, the home of possibilities made easy. And teach your kids real-world money skills with Greenlight. Start your risk-free trial today at greenlight.com/goaldigger. As always, you can find all of our incredible deals in the show notes. Now, let's dive in. What if I told you that using ChatGPT could feel less like cheating and more like unlocking your brain's secret backdoor for ease, clarity, and flow? Let's talk about 10 prompts that can change literally everything for you. I'm Jenna Kutcher, your host of the Goal Digger podcast. I escaped the corporate world at the age of 23 with nothing more than a $300 camera from Craigslist and a dream. Now I'm running a 7-figure online business that feels even better than it looks, all from my house in small town Minnesota with my family. Here, we value time as our currency. We mix the woo and the work, and we are in the pursuit of building businesses that give us the freedom to live lives that we love. I've always loved turning big goals into reality, and I'm here to help you do the same. This isn't just a peek behind the curtain. Come along with me and my guests as we tear the whole curtain down. Every week, we tackle practical, no-fluff marketing strategies and host honest discussions on what works and what doesn't. Join me and my expert guests for actionable insights to help you grow your dream business with confidence. Pull up a seat and get ready to be challenged, inspired, and empowered. This is the Goal Digger podcast. Do you ever wish you could clone yourself? Not just to get more done, but to feel less overwhelmed while doing all the things? What if I told you that I found something that kind of feels like that? Today, we're diving into a tool that has quietly been reshaping how I do everything. How I plan my week, write my emails, structure launches, and even figure out what the heck to cook for dinner. Now, I'm not talking about this in some cold and robotic way, but in this like, wow, that just saved me 2 hours kind of way. Imagine this: a copywriter who knows your voice, a strategist who doesn't need a Zoom link, a therapist who won't side-eye your third cup of coffee, and a hype girl who is ready 24/7. That is what ChatGPT has become for me. And I get it. Maybe AI makes your eyes glaze over or your gut clench, but this episode, it's different. It's not about tech just for tech's sake. It's about prompts that give me peace, clarity, and confidence. And yes, they also give me a few hours of my life back. In the next few minutes, you'll hear how I used AI to finally nail a meal plan that doesn't make me hate grocery shopping, write emails that say what I mean without sounding like I'm apologizing for existing, build content, clarify launches, and even realign my goals when things feel fuzzy. So if you're even a little curious how one tool could support this many parts of your life without it taking away your humanity, you're going to want to stick around. Let's dig in. I want to get into the juicy stuff as much as you do, but before we jump into it, I just want to call out the elephant in the room. There are so many fears around AI. And let me tell you, they're real. Like, I was listening to a podcast the other day about AI and I had to shut it off because I got so anxious about what the host was talking about and where the future was going. Like, there were so many parts of me saying, like, is this really where the future is going? And do I want this for my life? I mean, you've probably heard things like AI is going to replace us, and isn't it unethical to use this to write your content or generate your plans? And does using AI mean I'm cutting corners or losing my voice and heart? And so I think we should talk about it, because if you've been wondering those things, well, so have I. Now, here's what I've learned in my process. ChatGPT is most powerful when it becomes a collaborator and not a crutch. It can often get you unstuck. It can help you see things from fresh angles and move forward with more ease. Now, here's what you have to remember. AI needs you. It needs your vision, your vibe, your values. And so, yeah, it is an interesting time to be alive, and the internet is changing faster than ever before. And I do have a lot of questions around what is going to happen and how AI will impact it. But I am also not allowing that to be the thing that makes me dig my heels in and say, I'm not going to do this, because I do think that there are many uses that are incredibly helpful. And one other thing I want to hit on before we dive into this is I also think we should talk about the earth for a quick second. AI has a carbon footprint. This is real tech with real energy use. And so I would challenge you, if you have not researched AI's implications on the earth, do it. It's fascinating and it's really eye-opening. And because of this, I try to use AI incredibly strategically. I use it kind of like I use caffeine, strategically and not constantly. I batch sessions. I get really clear on what I need. I make my asks super succinct. And I remember that I still get to make the final call. And so I just want to hit on that. There's one final thing I want to hit on before we dive into this, and it's for the service providers out there. I'm talking my fellow creatives, coaches, strategists, support pros. I see you. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about different ways that I'm using AI. And you might think, oh my gosh, this is replacing my work. It's not that. This is your challenge to elevate your work, because the truth is your job isn't going anywhere, but your position might if you're not adapting. So I am hitting all of these big elephants before we dive in, but I want for you to think of these three things. There is a lot of fear around AI. I feel it too, but I'm using it in a way that feels good. There are environmental implications because of AI and the way that it is using its carbon footprint. So these are the three things I just want to hit on before we dive in. First is there is a lot of fear around AI. I feel it too. I have a lot of questions. I'm not exactly sure what role I want for it to play in my life. And so I'm doing it in a way that feels conscious and I feel good about. Second, dig into AI's carbon footprint and just grow your awareness and your consciousness around it. And also maybe just consider what that looks like for the earth and how we can kind of offset our use if we're using AI. And then lastly, if you feel like your job or your role is being attacked inside of this episode, this is your challenge to step up and adopt it. I've seen a quote where it says like, AI might not replace you, but creators using AI will. And I do think that that's an interesting take, one that I'm not fully behind, but I do think there is some merit to it. And so if you feel triggered in this episode at all, maybe this is your sign to start thinking through, how do you add more value or how do you add more implementation to your offers? All right. So the first way I am using ChatGPT is for elevated meal planning for my body and my brain. So I have shared this on this podcast a million times, but one of my greatest marriage struggles is that we always talk about food prepping and it was just like never actually happening. And I have hacked the system with ChatGPT to figure out a way that we can do meal prep in a way that feels good and to get the sort of healthy food that I want to have in my house. It has totally changed our lives. So we finally hired someone local who comes over on Mondays. We order Instacart, get our whole grocery order locked and loaded on Sunday night, and she preps meals for us for the week. And it is amazing. She cleans the kitchen when she's done. We open the fridge and there are meals that we can enjoy as a family. It has been like the best thing ever. And since we don't really have a ton of childcare, we're putting our money and resources into getting support in other areas. And this has been a game changer. And so if you are someone where you feel like mealtime just sneaks up on you like a ninja, especially after a long day of juggling all the things, work, family, whatever that might be, and if you open the fridge and you expect inspiration to leap out at you, spoiler, it never does, then this is for you. So I knew that I wanted to eat and feel better. I wanted to enjoy my food and I wanted to have meals that my kids would also eat. I think we got into this like habit of my kids just eating kid food and then us eating adult food. And I was like, no, we need to break this down. So I have been working with ChatGPT. I have this long conversation where I want meals that help with blood sugar. I want meals that are more paleo based. We're not on any specific diet. We are gluten-free. Meals that my kids will eat so they can't be too spicy and that won't take hours to create or hours to heat up. And so I have gone back and forth week after week. I was looking and my menu doc is now 30 pages long and it felt like we were like a sous chef tag team. And so it has been so helpful because I basically just said like, I need make ahead options. I want minimal prep. I want ingredients that we likely have on hand so we don't end up with like a bunch of random ingredients. And then once I figured out what meals sounded good, then I said, okay, what is the grocery list? And reflect my store layout so that it's not like this crazy hunt to find different ingredients. So if I'm going grocery shopping, it's really easy. If we're doing Instacart, not as big of a factor. But it's basically like meal planning with a nutritionist who moonlights as a grocery strategist. It's amazing. So here's the prompt that I use. So build a paleo gluten-free weekly meal plan with high protein, blood sugar stable dinners for a family of 4, include make ahead tips, freezer friendly swaps, and a grocery list by aisle, and make sure that it's not too spicy because my kids don't like spicy. So my result from this has been getting a list of we have 10 recipes that we kind of cycle through as a family. It has been so awesome. It has changed our dinner times. I feel like we are sitting down and having more family dinners, less on the go, frantic, figuring it out. Here's some noodles, here's some rice dinners. And it's just been so awesome. And I feel less anxious when I open up my fridge and I'm like, okay, if things are stressful tonight, pop in this casserole. Here we go. The other thing that I love is that oftentimes we'll have leftovers that I can heat up during the day when I'm busy with work. And so it's just been awesome. We don't have as much food waste. We don't have as much weird ingredients that we don't know how to use. It has become such a game changer for us. And so if I were voice memoing you about this, I would say your dinner does not have to be fancy in order to be functional. And you can use ChatGPT to help you figure out how you can fuel your brain and feed your kids and skip the 5 p.m. panic stare into the fridge abyss. That is what I want for you to know. So that is the first way that I've been using ChatGPT. I was literally doing it last night, getting ready, getting everything set for the week, making sure we had our weekly plan. The meals are all planned out, the ingredients listed, and it's just been such a game changer in our lives. Okay. The second one is what I'm calling and coining the minimalist fitness reset. So I am someone who has really gotten into working out. I work out almost every day, if not every day. I love working out now. I was not this person. Guys, I hated working out. I was somebody who worked out of guilt and out of shame. And now I'm if I can just get in my workout, I'm going to feel so much better. And so if you are looking for workouts that actually feel good and not punishing, this prompt is for you. So I came to ChatGPT and I basically said, I have 45 minutes a day. Here's the equipment I have. Now, I'm very fortunate that we have a home gym. So I have weights and different things at my disposal, but tell them what you have. If it is I have cans of tomato soup that I could curl, that works. And I said, I want movement that matches my energy and cycle and that doesn't leave me fried. AKA, I don't want to boost my cortisol extremely. And so basically we put together a plan that feels really awesome. I wanted flexibility based on my energy levels throughout my menstrual cycle. I wanted to make sure that there was rest so that I wasn't stressing out my body. And essentially, I was integrating in the workout that I was already doing, which I love just going on my treadmill. I do the 12-3-30 almost every single day, which is an incline of 12. I do 3.5 miles per hour for 30 minutes. And so then I was break that up into 5-minute chunks and give me weights to do in between. And it was just awesome because I was able to really go back and forth and say I really like this style of workout. Or after workout, I'd be this was awesome. I feel sore in all the right places. Give me the next step for this. Or one day I was too sore and I was okay, what are some more Pilates inspired workouts that I could do today to feel better? So you can really create your own type of workout plan. You can split it up based on your menstrual phases if you're crazy like me and your energy changes a lot throughout the month. You can make sure that you have energy appropriate movement. You can make sure that you have opportunity to say, okay, how do I actually feel today? And does this workout feel aligned with how I'm feeling? It's less like a workout calendar, more like this self-care blueprint. And it motivates me. And some days I'm you know what? I'm just going to walk on the treadmill and that's it. And that's great. And then other days I'm you know what? Give me a straight up boot camp and make me sore tomorrow. And so if your workouts right now feel really boring or bland, or you're not working out and you need motivation, your body is probably calling you for a pep talk, not a push. And so use ChatGPT to let your moment meet your mood. So here's the prompt that I used. So I did create a 4-week low impact fitness program for me, syncing to my cycle using walking on the treadmill, Pilates, and weight training. Include warm-ups and make sure that there's enough rest to not spike my cortisol too much. And so I kept going back and forth to tweak what areas of my body I wanted to work out on. It was funny. The other day I posted this post and all these women were drop your arm workout. And I'm ChatGPT helped me figure out my arm workout. So it has been awesome for me and just a really great way to enjoy working out again, have fun with it, and do it in a way that feels good and allows for flexibility and not rigidity, which is something I struggled with in the past. Okay. Number 3 is what I am calling holistic health habits that actually stick. So I feel the health world is so overwhelming, and I know that there's so much noise out there. And so what happens is, and I recently just had a friend come and they stayed the weekend. She had her twins with, and so her whole family was with us, and her and I took a sauna after we got the kids down. And we were just talking about like healthy habits and all these things. And it's like, it's so overwhelming and you want to do all the things all at once. And it's just like too much. It's just too much. We just don't have the bandwidth or the budget sometimes to back those things up. And so if you've ever promised yourself, like, I'm going to wake up at 5, I'm going to do oil pulling, dry brushing, meditating, journaling, and then you do none of them, like, you are not alone. And so I told ChatGPT, like, I want to move in the direction of like a high performance leader. I want 3 small but powerful wellness habits that don't feel like a second job. And so what was awesome is that it gave me some good starting points, but then I was like, okay, but what parts of my day would this fit into? Make this make sense for a mom who's running a business. I kind of shared a little bit more about my daily schedule. The next version was way more doable. Like, think less goopy, more grounded. And so the prompt I used was list 3 powerful wellness habits for better sleep, digestion, and mental clarity. Those are the 3 things I'm really focusing on when it comes to my health. And then I said, break them into morning, midday, and evening routines for a busy mom. And I challenged it to like keep it under 5 minutes. Like, that just makes it feel doable. And a lot of times if I say it's only going to take 5 minutes and it takes 10 or 20, I feel okay about it because I went into it being like, I can quit after 5. And so doing breath work when I wake up, as I'm like doing my little simple skincare routine, awesome, easy. During lunch, I often will stretch while my food is heating up. So like a little mobility break. And then one thing that's been really helpful is like giving myself just 5 minutes between shutting my laptop and going inside and being with my kids or my family or meeting them at the beach or whatever it is we're doing for summer. And so it's just like a post-work digital detox ritual. It's super awesome. They're really simple, intentional things. Doesn't require a Himalayan salt lamp. Like, you're good. You don't need to buy things. And so if you are someone who you're like, I want to get healthier, I want to have a more holistic view of my life, I don't have a huge budget or I don't have a lot of time, this is awesome. This is a way that you can kind of tap into some of those high performance habits without changing your life too dramatically. And so this has been really, really helpful for me. All right, let's take a quick breather and thank our incredible sponsors who help keep the show running. And while we're on this short break, I want for you to think of one fellow entrepreneur or friend who's drowning in decision fatigue. I'm talking about the one who is rewriting their to-do list every day but still feeling stuck. Send them this episode, because next we're diving into how to use AI to confidently hit send on those tough emails. I'll be right back. Okay, I've got to tell you about a podcast that I'm completely hooked on right now. It's called This is Small Business, and its brand new season explores one of my all-time favorite themes, taking bold risks. Hosted by the amazing Andrea Marquez, this season pulls you behind the curtain as she sits down with founders who transformed their maybe one day ideas into let's do this success stories. We're talking nail-biting moments, raw honesty about the hustle, and powerful advice that lights a fire in you. I got actual chills just listening to the trailer. Like, every single story makes me pause and think, wow, we literally all start somewhere. And if you've ever felt that tug to take your next big leap, this season might be the exact push and confidence boost you've been waiting for. So do yourself a favor, follow This is Small Business on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. These stories will move you, motivate you, and remind you that courage is the first step towards chasing what really matters. Nothing makes me happier than doing work that energizes me. And I've always been committed to that. Not just for myself, but for my entire team. That's why I'm so excited about the Working Genius model. It's a powerful tool that helps you discover your natural strengths and where you thrive in your work. When you tap into what you're naturally good at, work becomes more rewarding and you get so much more done. Honestly, I wasn't sure what to expect when I took the Working Genius assessment, but it blew me away with how accurate and insightful it was. It affirmed that I am naturally gifted at using my intuition and instincts to evaluate and assess ideas or plans. And it also confirmed my love for self-starters and the fact that I can get frustrated if I have to be the main source of motivation for other people to get results. The assessment only takes 10 minutes and it's great for solopreneurs and teams alike. Imagine with me how effortless your teamwork will be if you understand the working geniuses of those that you're working with. Working Genius is different from everything else out there because it's 20% personality and 80% productivity. Simply put, if you want to transform your work life, this is it. Get 20% off the $25 Working Genius assessment. Head to workinggenius.com and enter the promo code Goal Digger at checkout. That's workinggenius.com, promo code Goal Digger. Number 4. This one's one of my favorite ones. Such a good hack. Okay. Email voice makeovers for the people pleasers out there. If you are a people pleaser like I am, which you probably are because you're listening to this show, this will change your life. If you ever draft an email and you reread it 6 times and you feel like you're coming off too harsh or you're asking for too much, or worse, like you're apologizing for even existing, same. So I dropped a message into ChatGPT and I said, okay, here's what I'm trying to say. Help me say this clearly, kindly, directly, and confidently. And one thing that I've noticed is like, I have learned over time, like I am someone who goes straight into work. So I am terrible at like, hello, how was your weekend? How are you doing? How was your mother? I am like, hey, I need this thing real quick. And that is both a blessing and a curse, right? And so oftentimes I'll like write an email and then I'll go back to the top of it and add in niceties. But this has been really helpful, especially if I have challenging conversations. Like I had a conversation where I had to negotiate something and I really had to stand up for myself. And that can be so hard. And so I've also had somewhere I've had to like decline opportunities. I really care about the person. I think the opportunity is awesome. It's just not the right fit for me. And so I have worked with ChatGPT to be like, hey, can you help me write this in the way that I want to write it, keeping it warm, keeping it playful, but making sure that there's a lot of clarity there. And what's awesome is then I can go back and forth with it, pick the email that matches my energy. And then I can also even say like, hey, can you soften the call to action just a little bit? Or can you sign off with a little bit more warmth and joy? And so here's the prompt that I use. So rewrite this email to feel clear, confident, and calm. Make sure it feels personable, but very clear in X, Y, or Z. And then it's like the decision that I want to make or how I want to make it. So again, you can use email. And what I love with this is that I will import in my first draft, right? So I'm not saying, write me this email to this person. It's here's what I want to say. Here's what I'm struggling in saying. Help me say it better. And the result of that is like emails that make me feel like I'm on my best communication day. I'm not rushed. I'm not overly apologetic. I'm really effective. And I think that this is an amazing tool for people that overthink their communications, or worse, they don't respond because they don't know how to respond. It's awesome. Like you can be clear and you can be kind, and you can also have kind of an assistant that helps you do both of those things. Number 5 is content batching like a social strategist without having to hire one. Fun fact, I do all of my own social media. I'm the one ideating, creating, writing, doing it all. And I don't have a whole social media team. I've never had one. And so sometimes, like even this morning, I woke up at 6:30 to a dog that needed to be let outside. And I was like, I'm just going to get to work. And one of the first tasks I started working on was my social content for the week. Sometimes I stare at like a single content idea and think, okay, this could be a reel. It could be a blog post. It could be a carousel. How do I do this? And then I get so overwhelmed, I do nothing with it. Well, I am that. And so one of the things that is awesome is you can take something. So the other day I was writing this post and it was kind of like a pitch for something that I wanted to do. I was like, wow, this is really good. Can I take this and repurpose this work that I just did for a LinkedIn piece? Can I use it for an Instagram carousel? Can I write a caption? Can I leverage it in an email? And so what's awesome is you can take one piece of content and then tell ChatGPT, help me make the most of this across all platforms without making it feel like copy paste fatigue. And what's awesome is instead of getting just like generic repurposing ideas, I go platform by platform. So I'm like, okay, let's make this a carousel that provokes curiosity, maybe builds tension, and then make a caption that continues on from the carousel that grabs attention. And okay, let's make this into a 3-slide Instagram story set that sparks engagement and that invites people to give their opinion. Use different angles, but keep the core vibe. So here's the prompt I used. Take this story and turn it into a 10-slide carousel with a story arc, a caption that opens with a strong hook, and a story sequence with built-in engagement prompts. And then I go back and forth and back and forth. And the result is that I get one idea that I worked on really hard, and I get a visual carousel, a high impact caption, a 3-part Instagram story series. I can even turn it into a LinkedIn post, etc. And it all feels cohesive in me. And I'm also just not letting the good work die, right? Because I think a lot of times we work so hard on one idea and then it lives and dies and it might not do what we wanted it to do. And so the best way to do this is to use ChatGPT and like, help me repurpose this and use this in more places than just one. Number 6 is launch planning that doesn't require a spreadsheet degree. And I say this with like a twinkle in my eye because if you've ever looked at a launch calendar and you immediately need a nap, same. I told ChatGPT, I want to launch this thing on this date. Can you help me create a pre-launch content runway that helps build anticipation, that can help bust objections, and doesn't leave me crying into my Google Calendar? Like, I don't want to do overwhelm. And what was awesome is we looked at the goals. So I will often tell ChatGPT, ask me the clarifying questions you need to do this really well. And then it'll go back and forth. What are your goals? What are the main objections? What is the ideal timing, etc. Then it gives me a basic structure that I can refine. So I can say like, make sure that I am working on content days. I have podcasting days. Make sure that I'm sitting down to write down the stories, the call to actions, align the messaging with someone who's considering this idea but not totally convinced. And then we can map it all out where all of a sudden it feels way more doable. Like if you are not using ChatGPT to take a really big idea, whether it's starting your own podcast or launching a course or having a new side hustle, and breaking it down into something that makes it feel doable, you are totally missing out. So the prompt that I used was map a 30-day pre-launch content calendar for my online course with storytelling angles, audience objections, and call to action variations for email, Instagram, and my podcast. And the result that I got was basically this awesome launch sequence that feels like a series of conversations, not this huge pitch fest, right? Like I want to spend 30 days warming people up to something, helping them understand the what and the why before they learn the how. And it's also super helpful just in my mind to not get overwhelmed with like, we have this really big thing coming up and I need to make sure that it's doable and that I'm not going to finish it burnt out because I'm so over that. And so if you have a launch coming up, using AI to help you break down the overall goal to get really clear at like, what are the end results that you're after and to kind of see an actual calendar is absolutely game changing. Launches should not feel like pressure cookers. And the only way to avoid that is by strategic planning that guess what? You can do using AI. Time for a quick pause to show some love to our sponsors who make this podcast possible. While we're on this break, think about that one business bestie who is stuck in launch overwhelm, staring down a blank content calendar with dread. You know the one. Share this episode with them because what's coming next is a total game changer for getting clarity, strategy, and even a little cosmic alignment. I'll be back in a second. We've been eyeing up some new furniture pieces for our lake house, and we have been loving Cozy because their furniture is amazing. Like, it's so hard to choose because we love their vibe. It is clean, cozy, and modern, and it's seriously made for real life. With a brand new puppy and 2 kiddos who love to climb on everything and snacks that somehow get everywhere, we need furniture that adapts to us, not the other way around. And Cozy gets that. They make everyday home furnishings easy. Their pieces are modern, adaptable, and worry-free, which is honestly a dream when you are juggling a puppy and kids and just everyday life. What I love most about Cozy is how it opens up new home possibilities. Their modular designs literally grow with your life. Like, you can add and rearrange or swap pieces as you need. And they have washable covers, which make cleanup feel so much more doable. It's your home, your way, and Cozy makes it all feel effortless. From easy assembly to mixing and matching styles, Cozy makes everything easy. I've never been more excited to cozy up. And yes, this pun is very much intended. Transform your living space today with Cozy. Visit cozy.com, spelled COZEY.com, the home of possibilities made easy. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. As a mom, I've been thinking a lot about how to teach my kids real money lessons. The other day, I took them to Target and Coco picked out a toy. She had her little purse with her, so I pulled out the amount of money she would need to spend in order to buy that toy to help her make her decision. But let's be honest, as a mom, carrying around a kid's purse with $50 in change is not fun. So I started researching better ways to teach her about money, and that's how I found Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families that helps kids learn to save, spend, and invest wisely, with parents always staying in control. I love that you can assign chores, send money to their kid wallet, and keep an eye on how they use it. It turns everyday moments into money lessons that stick. Greenlight is the easy, convenient way for parents to raise financially smart kids and for families to navigate life together. Maybe that's why millions of parents trust and kids love learning about money on Greenlight, the #1 family finance and safety app. Don't wait to teach your kids real-world money skills. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/goaldigger. That's greenlight.com/goaldigger to get started. greenlight.com/goaldigger. When I first launched my own digital shop, it was to share tools I'd originally created for myself. Things like templates, pricing guides, editing presets. But I honestly had a lot of what ifs. What if I had to manually set up the entire site? What if managing orders became a full-time job? What if I couldn't get people to actually go to my shop? Then I found Shopify, and those what ifs slowly turned into why nots, because Shopify takes care of everything for you. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. From household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started like mine once was. Can't design a site? Shopify's got beautiful, ready-to-go templates. Need help? Use Shopify's AI tools to enhance product images, write descriptions, and create discount codes. Worried about marketing? Shopify's easy-to-run email and social media campaigns helps you find your people. And if you ever get stuck, their award-winning support is available 24/7. Turn those dreams into and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/goaldigger. Go to shopify.com/goaldigger. Shopify.com/goaldigger. Number 7. So this is kind of a fun use, and this will never replace having a real business coach, but I think it is awesome. You can use ChatGPT to give you business coaching questions that go way beyond like, what is your why? Or who is your ideal client? Sometimes you don't need advice. You just need the right questions. I told Chatty G, that's what I call it, Chatty G, play coach and help me get clear on whether to pivot on this idea or push forward with it, right? I was facing some resistance. I have this new idea. We're kind of getting excited about it. But I wanted to make sure, like, is this in total alignment? Like, ask me the hard-hitting questions that help me clarify that this is what I want to do. And it kind of started with journal-style prompts. And I replied, like, get even more specific, get granular, challenge my assumptions, push me gently but firmly like my favorite mindset coach. And guess what? It did. And so the prompt I used was, act like a high-level business coach and ask 7 deep questions to help me uncover resistance, evaluate alignment, and decide whether to pivot or persist with this business project. And there were so many questions I didn't even know that I needed to answer, like stuff that was pulling insight out of me, getting me fired up in the best ways. I wasn't just hitting it with ideas, I was getting clarity around them. And oftentimes, I think that if you have a team around you and you're the visionary, people will say, yes, of course, that sounds like a good idea. But sometimes you need somebody to like hit you across the head and ask those hard questions. And I love that because then also I am getting more clear on my answers, which will help me outline the offer even better and make me very anchored in why am I doing this, especially if it gets hard, because it always gets hard, right? And so I think that your next best move in business isn't hiding under like another pros and cons list. It's buried under better questions. And when you get asked those hard questions, it really causes you to stop and think and get clear. And clarity to me is everything. So have ChatGPT be your business coach and kind of ask and illuminate the right areas that you might not have even considered yet. Okay. Number 8, another fun way that I use ChatGPT is using human design and meeting human design and some of the woo-y stuff with strategy. You know, I'm the girl where the woo meets the work. I love it. And I'm also kind of nerdy when it comes to things like human design and astrology and all the different ways that I can be told about myself that make me feel a little bit more me and more human. And so I love to mix the woo and the work. And ChatGPT is a really great way to integrate some of those things that you might be curious about. So I personally was curious, like, how does my human design, which I am a manifesting generator, how can that inform how I show up as a boss in my content, as a mom, etc.? Like, and so here's an example. I said to ChatGPT, give me a creation strategy that matches my energy patterns and decision-making style as a manifesting generator. So here's an example of how we use this in my business. So I am reworking our welcome sequence in my business, and I got super excited about the idea. I wanted to write every single email. I got really on fire for it. And Marissa, my right hand, is a totally different area in human design. Like, her strengths and the way she makes decisions are entirely opposite of mine, which is probably why we're amazing together. And so we were talking about different things, and she had this idea, like, we should survey our audience so that we make sure the new welcome sequence matches them and what they need. I was like, awesome, but I can't wait for these survey results. I'm excited. I need to take this energy and run with it. And I was like, how about this? Let me start writing because I'm just ready to go. I'm so inspired. And then afterwards, we can integrate in the responses that we find. And we were literally using our different design types to help work together and be like, okay, I know this is important to you and you need to do this survey. And I think it's awesome. Let's go with it. But I also don't want to halt my energy because I'm worried that if I stop it and pivot into a different project, I'm not going to come back to it. And so it is an awesome way to really get clear about, like, how do you best make decisions? How do you pursue and plan? How do you move forward with your energy and figure out the best way that you can kind of keep things going? And so when I asked it first, I was like, okay, here is my human design type. And that is established through the day you were born, the time you were born, and the city you were born in. So I said, here is this. Now, here's something I'm working on. Help me do this. So the prompt that I used was based on my human design and my emotional authority, which I've gotten through doing human design. Suggest a creation strategy that honors my energy cycles and decision-making patterns. And then I told it more about what I was working on, right? So I didn't want to leave it generic of like, oh yeah, you should do this and this and this, but it doesn't make sense based on what I was actually working on. Dude, it came back with gold. And what was awesome is that it gave me this rhythm that matches how I actually feel throughout the week. And it matched my excitement around this very specific project that I was working on. Like, Mondays became this deep work brainstorming days. Tuesdays were batching. It gave me decision space before I had to make big decisions. And it honored this like energetic pull I was feeling towards a certain project, but it also gave me like, here's a red flag, like watch out if you're feeling this way, etc. So turns out the stars and your systems can play well together, and you don't have to burn out to blow up. And I think what's awesome is if you are someone that resonates with like, yeah, you can get a little wooey, you can get into like the astrology and things like that, but you don't necessarily know how it actually works in your real life. ChatGPT is a really awesome way to kind of mix those things and get really clear on like, I want 30% woo, 70% work. Help me figure this out. That's where I'm at. Okay. Number 9, this is one of my favorite ways to use ChatGPT, which is with money clarity and not freaking out looking at spreadsheets. I don't know about you, but I feel like spreadsheets can give me such anxiety. I went to college for business. I had to take personal finance. I had to take accounting classes. I probably know more than the average human, and it still freaks me out, right? And one of the things that has been so helpful is like, I will sit down with my P&L, my profit and loss statements, and I will sit there and go through and say, can you help me organize and evaluate my business profits and expenses? Tell me what's actually working. Tell me what's an outlier for this quarter. And it helps group all of the numbers for me by function. And then I can say like, show me what to automate, what to cut, what's worth doubling down on. And it's basically like chatting with a very non-judgy CFO who also respects your good latte budget, right? It's like, you can say and ask the dumb questions without feeling dumb of like, I don't understand what this means. Talk to me like I'm a third grader. And so one of the ways I use this was like, help me categorize my Q2 business expenses by ROI and suggest what to cut, automate, or double down on for more profit and less stress. I mean, come on, this is gold. What comes out of that is like clarity. I was able to unsubscribe from 3 tools that we weren't using. I was able to automate 2 processes that was taking too much time. I felt like a true CEO. Like it's just a game changer, because oftentimes too, if you do work with an accountant, you feel like an idiot where you're like, I I don't understand this. Or you don't even open up the spreadsheets because you feel so overwhelmed. So you do not need to DIY QuickBooks to be financially empowered. You just need visibility, a little bit of strategy, and some good explanations. And ChatGPT can do that. And what's been awesome is that I can upload any sort of reports and be like, tell me what this means. Tell me what you see. Look at this with non-biased eyes and ask me the hard questions that I need to answer. And oh my gosh, it has been absolutely transformative. And it's also just changed the way that I personally feel about finance and how I can look at it. Okay, the last one is probably my favorite one. I'm saving the goods for last. I feel like ChatGPT has become like a co-pilot in helping me really just design a lifestyle that feels like Pinterest in peace. I don't know how else to describe it. I want my everyday life to feel present and grounded. I want to feel, it sounds silly, like I'm living in this cozy, intentional Pinterest board. Your girl loves Pinterest. What can I say? I never feel crappier about myself when I scroll Pinterest. So I told ChatGPT, like, here is the energy I want to have in my life. I want to be creative. I want to work, but I also want to be mindful and enjoy the process. The other day I was in a chat thread with 4 other female entrepreneurs and we were all talking about our wins and our losses and just recapping things. And I literally texted is anybody having fun in here? It's a grind and it's hard and I want to not miss my life because of my business. So I said to ChatGPT, curate a minimalist lifestyle guide for me as a creative entrepreneur. I'm talking morning rituals. I'm talking about ways to make my office feel energetically awesome. I'm talking about lighting candles or having scents in my office. I'm talking about music playlists. Give me all of that. And so I got this just little lifestyle guide, and it's these little tiny things that can change my experience in work because I want to enjoy the work. I want to do it. And it helped me kind of figure out a daily rhythm. I listen to an activation in the morning. I have these lo-fi playlists that work well with my ADHD. I have this process of cleaning and resetting my office at the end of the day. I have candles that smell rich on energy. I'm not even kidding. I just kind of did these small little tweaks that help me be more present in my work and also just enjoy the experience of the work. You do not have to wait for vacation to feel at home in your life. There are so many different ways that you can design your days with as much love as you design your content or your brand or your business. And that's what I want. And so I even uploaded screenshots of this is the vibe. I want to dress the part. I want to look the part. I want to feel the part. I want to be present in my life. I want time and space to go touch grass in the middle of the day. I want to go out and have a garden break. That's what I want. And so it's just been awesome to be here is my day-to-day. What is the best rhythm for this that accounts for all the things in my life, whether it's a new puppy that's potty training or kids that I need to set up for their quiet time. I want all of that. And I just want to be awake and present to it. And so that has just been really, really awesome. Okay. In closing, it's really interesting because I have a lot of thoughts and feels about AI. I think that AI is absolutely mind-blowing. I have been an entrepreneur for nearly 15 years. I've seen a lot of different cycles and things come through. I've seen apps come up and shut down. And this is something that I think you cannot ignore. And one thing that I think is really interesting, and I often just ponder is I feel like men are such early adopters to AI, and I'm generalizing here. And I feel like women feel like it's cheating or feel guilty for using it or feel apologetic about how they're using it. And what's interesting to me is oftentimes I will sit and think of how is my male counterpoint approaching this? And it's oftentimes unapologetically, and they're just going after it. And it often leaves me questioning, why are women so resistant to getting help and support in the places that they need? And how can we also get better at expressing what it is we need? And one thing that I've noticed with AI use is that I have gotten a lot better at thinking through what is the prompt that I would need to use to get the end result that I'm desiring. And at the end of the day, I think it's made me a better communicator. I think it's helped me to identify problems and curate solutions with a co-creator. And ultimately, AI has helped me get back to the heart of things because it's freed up a lot of time and energy and resource on things that shouldn't be taking my energy, so that say I have the time to rewrite an entire welcome sequence because I feel like it. I have the time to survey my audience because I actually care where they're at in their life and what they need help with. It has freed up so many pockets of time because I'm getting help in the areas where I was just straight up floundering or struggling. And it's helped me put words to those struggles and actually ask for help, which is where I think I get stuck of like, why are women so resistant to ask for help and get it? And I think that so much of it is cultural. And I think so much of it is that we often just think I can do this alone and I should do this alone. And I'm here to tell you that like AI can become your partner in a lot of the areas of your life where you might be struggling so that you have more time and freedom to do the things you love. And that is just my soapbox moment of like, it doesn't have to replace you. I think if anything, it's allowed me to shine brighter and it allowed me to get more clear on who I am, what my stories are, and what matters. And I don't think any of my content is generic. I think it's gotten even crisper because I have time to really dive deep and to really ask the big questions. So there you have it. These are the 10 conversations that you can start having with ChatGPT today. And I honestly believe that if you use even one of these prompts, it could change your routines, it could change your workflow, it could change your mindset. Like these prompts, again, are not about outsourcing your magic. I think they're about amplifying it. They are shortcuts to clarity, not to connection. So I hope that this episode at the end of the day, it just made you feel a little more curious, a little more empowered, maybe even just a little giddy about what is possible. Because listen, AI is here. It is not changing, but how we use it, that is up to us. We can use it to create margin, not mayhem. We can use it to deepen our human work, not erase it. We can use it to open up possibilities that make room for our priorities, not to pile on more pressure. And if you're wondering, hey, Jenna, wait, what was that prompt again? Don't worry, I've got you. Every single prompt from today's episode is listed in the show notes. You can copy, you can paste them. I challenge you, customize the heck out of them. Make them your own amazing prompts. This is not just about tech, it's about trust. Trusting yourself to lead, to co-create, to innovate, and to evolve. And let me say, you've got it. If you know somebody that could benefit from this episode, take a quick second, share it with them. Have fun, geek out with Chatty G. It's going to be awesome. And thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Until next time, goal diggers, keep on digging your biggest goals. Thanks for pulling up a seat for another episode of the Goal Digger Podcast. I hope today's episode fueled you with inspiration, gave you information that you can turn into action, and realigned you with your true north in life and business. If you've enjoyed today's episode, head on over to goaldiggerpodcast.com for today's show notes, discount codes for our sponsors, freebies to fuel your results, and so much more. And if you haven't yet, make sure you're subscribed so that you never miss a future show. We'll see you next time, Goal Diggers.